Girls experience a massive drop in confidence during adolescence, and for many of us, that self-doubt never really goes away.
Think about the last time you really wanted something, but you didn't put your hand up for it. Maybe it was a job opportunity or even just voicing your opinion in a meeting.
In this week's episode, we are diving into the science of confidence, including what it actually is, why it matters so much, and how we can actually cultivate more confidence.
So if you had more confidence, how would your life be different?
The information in this podcast is for general informational and educational purposes only. Nothing we say should be taken as individualized advice. If anything you hear brings up concerns for you, we strongly encourage you to speak with your GP, psychologist, or another qualified health professional.
We would like to acknowledge and pay our respects to the traditional owners of the unceded lands of the Kulin Nation, on which this podcast is recorded. We acknowledge their rich history and honour the ongoing connection to land, waters, culture and community. Welcome to This Might Help, a podcast bridging the gap between evidence-based psychology research and your everyday life. We're your hosts, Dr. Kira Hart.
And I'm Dr. Lauren Rossetti.
We're two Australian psychologists.
And today we're talking all about confidence. Exciting. Why confidence is important, where it comes from, and also how we can cultivate more confidence. So we'll be getting into that soon, but before we get stuck in, shall we start as usual with our weekly wellbeing win and wobbles? I want to hear about yours, Kira.
Let's do it. My wellbeing win this week. It's a bit of a random one, but it's something called Milo nuggets. So it's just like Milo, like the milk.
The
powder that you put in milk.
Yeah.
Or that milk gets put into.
How much Milo? That sounds like a 3/4 mug full of Milo with a bit of milk added.
Anyway.
The only way to have it.
A Milo nugget is just like the Milo covered in chocolate. And I had them in Vietnam when I was traveling a few years ago and they were delicious. And then I found them, I can't remember whether it was Coles or another supermarket had them. And I've bought a few packets and I've just been snacking on them during the week.
I want a Milo nugget.
They're so good. I had some. Okay, now I'm realizing how rude I am. I actually brought them over here when I first got here to record, but I ate them all and I didn't even offer you any. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I'm going to go on a hunt for Milo nuggets.
Yeah, they're very delicious.
What a great wellbeing win.
And then my wellbeing wobble was, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I was unwell last week as well, still recovering from my cold. But my main wobble was not only was I unwell, but also my housemate was. And it was just so sad to see her in bed, really sick, like a texting us being like, can someone get me some electrolytes or Powerade? Oh. And that was just like really sad to see. So that was my wellbeing wobble.
I think we maybe need to take you to the doctors.
No.
Let's get your immune system checked up.
What about you? What was your wellbeing win and wobble?
I am starting with my wobble.
Okay.
So my wobble has been that I've been very closely teetering on the border of burnout.
Yes.
Lately. Thinking back to my recent wobbles, I feel like they've probably been progressing towards this point.
We could have seen this coming.
Yeah, as could everyone in my life apparently, except for, well, no. I think in the true depths of my brain and heart, I knew that it was coming. But anyway, it hit me to a point that I could no longer ignore it, unfortunately. So that's been my wellbeing wobble, but my wellbeing win is that I actually took some time to rest and recover, which is not something I do very easily, or it doesn't come very naturally to me, but I did it this week. I took some time to rest and reset and spent some time away from my laptop. And that I feel that I've got to be proud of that.
Amazing. Good on you.
Thank you. So that's my win. And I'm hoping that I continue more of that so that I prevent reaching
Yes.
the edge of burnout.
Yes.
Rather than getting to the edge, I would like to more actively engage in everything we talked about in our self-care episode.
Yes. Some self-care practices.
Yes.
Sounds very good.
Yeah.
So today we're talking all about confidence, and we wanted to get started by just defining what exactly is confidence.
Yeah. So confidence is, I guess there's lots of different terms to describe confidence,
Yeah.
but mostly in this episode, we're focusing on self-confidence. And self-confidence is often confused or overlapped with self-esteem. And when we talk about self-esteem, that's really whether you appreciate or value yourself. So that's thinking of things like, do you think I am a good person? Like that's kind of our self-esteem, when it's whether we appreciate and value ourselves. But self-confidence is more so this belief in yourself and your abilities. So that can change depending on the situation. So it's not that you're just self-confident and you're at this, threshold of self-confidence and that's the same for everything you do. You might be more self-confident in some things than others.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the American Psychological Association as well has this definition too, where self-confidence is trust in one's abilities, capacities, and judgment. And it's a belief that one is capable of successfully meeting the demands of a task. So really around that ability to believe in yourself and your abilities.
Exactly. I also think confidence is a lot about like the optimism that comes from knowing your abilities and that empowerment. And also when you're able to act courageously and take on a difficult task.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's common myths or misperceptions about confidence as well that we see a lot. So they can be things like you either have confidence or you don't have confidence. Like it's this binary thing that you've got it or you don't.
Yeah.
Or that I have to be confident before I can do this thing. Like I've got to be confident or I can't do that.
Yeah.
That,
or like
task.
I'm not confident enough to do that. So I could never.
Yeah, absolutely. Or also this misperception that if I'm confident, I won't feel nervous or fearful. So like if you're this confident person and you have confidence, that then you won't get that nervous kind of feeling when you're doing something, where really confidence is actually a skill that we build through our actions and our experiences. So it's something that we, build upon and that we work on over time. And so it's not that you have confidence or you don't have confidence. You might live somewhere along that spectrum, or for different activities, you might have different levels of confidence.
Yeah.
And you may still even feel a bit nervous doing something, even if you're confident to do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Given all of that, why is it important to be confident, Kira? Tell me all about it.
We have a few reasons why it's so important to be confident, and we'll unpack these. I think it's just really interesting to consider. I think it's particularly trendy or in the zeitgeist lately. There's been lots of like shy girl trends, or like we had the big movement last year about being demure, and that was just like so viral on TikTok. And I think it's really interesting because this contrasts against being confident. So it's not really popular to promote confidence on like social media or in the media nowadays, but it is so important to be confident or to have confidence in your abilities, especially for young women, which we know looking at the audience numbers and who kind of is audience demographic. We know that a lot of people who listen are young women.
Yeah.
But historically, girls and women have been socialized not to be confident, but to be more reserved, to be passive, to be more empathetic, but not to be confident.
There is this gendered lens to confidence, and it's not for every part of confidence.
No.
But I think that what you're saying with the kind of trend of being demure, and we've also seen other trends in like shifting things to maybe be a bit more conservative or
Yeah.
like, leaning on kind of traditional values. And it's not that those things can't, like confidence can't exist with those things. It's just that we've noticed a shift socially where that more outward expression of confidence in women has maybe been like dampened a bit. But confidence is such an important skill, and it's more than just feeling good about yourself. It's also about kind of claiming space or taking up space in a world that often really tells us, especially women and especially young women, to shrink or to make ourselves smaller. And I think that talking about that within the context of some of these trends is important, because there has been a bit of a shift.
Yes. And the research backs this up. So there's a lot of research out there showing this trend where girls hit adolescence or hit puberty and then their confidence levels drop as social pressures kick in, body standards and comparisons kick in as well. So studies have shown that adolescent girls experience an average decline in self-confidence, even though boys the same age maintain or increase their levels of confidence during that same age period. So it's happening at such a young age, even by adolescence. It's so sad, but girls are exposed to these social and body image pressures that affects confidence levels at such a young age.
And there's research there too about how when young girls, and boys in this age are asked whether they feel that they like themselves, or they have this confidence in themselves, that the young girls, that drops off. So far fewer percentage of them are likely to say that as they kind of transition through that adolescent age band, whereas the same number of boys or the boys are more likely to continue to have that confidence in themselves or that like positive self-perception too. And this is all within this context of these, I guess, broader societal forces that shape our confidence and particularly shape the confidence of young women, in that it's not just us working against our brains, it's us working against all of these other forces out there that generally profit off women having lower self-confidence. And so, if we think about the beauty industry, if we think about, fashion, diet culture, fitness culture, like all of these things, profit off women having lower self-confidence and therefore wanting to consume products or services or other things that are marketed to them as something that will then build their confidence. I know we've mentioned things before, like the industry of plastic surgery and all of these things that really build on women not having that self-confidence. And it's, again, not that those things are always linked, but it's just, I guess it is important to think about the fact that we're not just, it's not just, if your confidence is low, that's an internal problem that, that you're solely responsible for. It's that you're working against all of these forces that are constantly telling us to like be better or improve, or that, it's a problem that we can just fix ourselves by, doing all of these things, where we're facing a lot of those pressures socially as well.
Exactly. And unfortunately, when we do have that lack of confidence, opportunities go missed, or things we want to do we may not pursue due to that lack of confidence, which is so sad. And it's not because people lack the ability, but it's more so that self-doubt and lacking that confidence. For example, people not putting their hand up for a job promotion or an opportunity at work. Or I know even personally, you and I, there was kind of that fear of failure around starting a podcast and like putting yourself out there. Like, I definitely couldn't have done this a few years ago when I was less confident. Like, it's taken kind of a growth in my confidence to be like, yeah, I'm happy with like putting my passions and interest in research out online on a public forum. But without the level of confidence that I currently have, like I can't imagine how anyone would do this. So it's so important to build your confidence, to speak up and back your ideas and set boundaries when you need to and pursue your goals as well.
Yeah. And it's not just being kind of loud or extroverted. And, you know, that's like not only what confidence is. It's about trusting your skills enough, trusting your worth enough, like trusting in yourself enough to take action, even when things feel uncomfortable.
Exactly. So to continue with, I'm going to ask you a big question. If you had more confidence, how do you think your life would be different?
This is a really hard question, and I haven't thought about it a lot. I think there's so many things, right? Like there's so many things that would be different if I had more confidence. I think for me, though, what comes to mind is elements of confrontation.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's particularly around like confronting challenging conversations, or like what you were talking about with setting boundaries. I think that's where my life would be different if I had more confidence in those scenarios. So more confidence to, enforce like stronger boundaries in my life, more confidence to have difficult conversations. And I think that comes back to like that progression of career and how things can be trickier when you have less confidence. In that, more confidence might have given me the ability to ask for like, you know, promotions at earlier stages when I was, you know, like working in different jobs when I was younger, or having the ability just to take things on or take risks as well. I think more confidence would help me to take more risks as well in my life. I think that's what comes to mind for me. How about you, Kira? If you had more confidence, how would your life be different?
My answer is actually very similar to yours. Great minds think alike. If I had more confidence, I think I would be more assertive, particularly during those tough conversations. But I think I'm really proud of how far I've come in my confidence. I know a few years ago, I was definitely lacking confidence in numerous areas of life, like wasn't feeling my most confident about work or about my body or about like certain friendships or just different areas. But I think I really have put in some strategies and techniques, and we'll speak to these later on in the episode. I think my confidence really has boosted, which, as you said at the start of the episode, it is a skill that we develop.
Yeah.
And sometimes there'll be moments in your life where you're less confident, and then there will be moments where you develop that skill and you are more confident. And I think, I'm just finding myself in a moment where I am more confident.
Yes, I think that's very, very lovely. And you've worked hard for it. Yeah.
So,
Where
did this confidence come from? Tell me.
Where did it come from? You tell me, Kira, where did the confidence come from?
There's so many different models and theories about how we can build confidence or different sources of confidence. In preparing for this episode, we came from this recent study. I say recent, it was maybe like 3 or 4 years old. It's called Women's Confidence, the largest global study to understand, measure, and increase confidence. And this white paper looked at numerous different countries and measured confidence in women. And they identified 14 different sources of confidence, including things like having a clear routine, having certainty in your life, one's intellect, one's vocation, one's resilience, our support systems, one's appearance, and one's spirituality, amongst a few other sources. But they attributed these as factors that contributes to confidence.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really interesting article research paper.
Yeah.
It's quite lengthy, but we'll include it in the show notes if anyone wants to read more about it.
Yeah. That's really interesting in terms of the lens of thinking about confidence and other things we've talked about already in this episode, in that our confidence is going to be shaped by a whole lot of different factors, and it's not just this one thing that you have, like an emotion that you know comes up in the moment.
Yeah.
It's something that's built by all of these different things, and they put it within this context of kind of how all of these other factors are going in our life will shape how our confidence is in the moment too. So it doesn't just exist in isolation, but it's also shaped by things like our genetics as well. It's shaped by how you're treated. So this goes back to all those social pressures and elements in our environment. So things like, you know, the culture of how women are treated or these other social pressures that will also shape your confidence. And then there's also kind of internal factors as well. So these internal factors, I guess, are things that we can act on to improve our confidence, but they're also things that shape our confidence. So your thoughts, like the thoughts you're thinking and the way that you talk to yourself, like that self-talk, and your experiences. So kind of the risks you take, if you think about kind of the way that you respond to challenges or mistakes or setbacks, those internal factors will also shape how confident you feel in a moment. But they're also the things that we can actually work on to improve or to like build on our confidence. So there's like, you know, things we've talked about with genetics, how we're treated, or that environmental factors, and then kind of the internal parts as well. Do you feel like, Kira, there's like parts of that you've experienced or felt that have like shaped your confidence?
Yeah, definitely different experiences. Like there's some environments or experiences that I've had where I've found myself in a room of people where I felt really supported and uplifted, and my confidence has come quite naturally. And then I found myself in other situations where maybe my ideas were like quickly put down, or I felt more suppressed. And in those moments, I definitely was lacking confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about yourself? Any particular?
I think my relationship with confidence is interesting because from the outside, I think there are many environments or scenarios I'm in that I could be viewed as very confident, like as a very confident person. And this maybe speaks to the fact that there are so many different parts of our life where we can be confident in different ways, or where we might be really confident in one part and lacking that confidence in other areas. So for example, I've done public speaking since a really young age. And that's something I've always felt confident in. I've never felt not nervous. I've always felt nervous doing it, but I have engaged in that for so long and kind of built up that practice and repetition through experience that I've felt confident to do that. And that probably comes from the fact that I have a dancing background, and so I've often been like thrust on stage to perform and be in front of a big crowd or an audience, and so that I've built that confidence to do that. But then in other parts of my life, like you've mentioned too, I've been in environments where maybe there wasn't that kind of communal feeling or support, and then in those environments have felt less confident to like speak up or put my opinion forward. And so then that has shaped my confidence in those settings.
So much to consider. We know confidence can come from so many different sources. We wanted to now talk about some practical tips and strategies about how we can cultivate more confidence. So these first strategies or quick tips we'll go through are immediate confidence boosters. And we were inspired a lot by the TED Ed video called Practical Tips. We have the power to cultivate confidence.
We need to be sponsored by TED at this point.
Exactly.
All we do is promote.
Promoting a media platform much bigger than ourselves.
They're really good though. But yes, they should. We should start seeking some sponsorship from them before we give them so much promo.
Exactly. But if you want to check out a short little video, feel free to watch it. Their first tip was picture yourself successful when you begin a task. So that power of visualization. Picture yourself succeeding and doing well at that task. Another suggestion is listening to music. Specifically, they said with a deep bass. And I don't know what a deep bass is. I feel like someone who maybe does like the audio of this podcast would have a better idea of deep bass. But I definitely know I have like hype music that I listen to that makes me feel good or more confident.
I love the exposure of your
music knowledge or lack of.
Yeah, I think just any music that you super enjoy, that you really enjoy, I mean, and that lifts up your mood as well, is like, it's kind of just doing all of those like pep talky, like, you know, immediate boosting things to get you ready and raring to go.
Yeah.
Like, what would you do before some big thing that you had to do, e.g. the, you know, the podcast, but also like, I don't know, if you've got something where you need to like boost your your confidence.
I do listen to music. I would probably put on like Noah Calm though, which I don't think has a deep bass, but I would put on.
We've realized that you don't actually know what that means, so maybe it does.
But that would boost my confidence somehow. Like it would just be like, yeah, cool.
It's not more like calming your anxiety.
Yeah, look, it actually could be.
But I'm gonna go with the mood boosting music. Like if you're running your marathon, are you listening to like pump up music?
Yes.
Or,
yeah. We Like to Party by the Vega Boys, or I don't know who sings that.
That's a good one though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So a hype up song.
Yeah.
We also came across some stuff about the power pose.
Yes.
Which I'm sure people have heard of before. And there's like a lot of things out there about these. You know, if you need confidence in the moment, so you need a temporary boost of confidence, what do you do? And it's, you know, the things that you've said, picturing yourself being successful, which visualization is a very effective tool, listening to music, and then these like the power pose. So this is when you
do the Superman pose. Put your hands on your hips, shoulders back, chest up.
Yeah.
Or there's the classic cross your arms and like chin up.
This is promotion to watch our YouTube video so that you can see Kira enacting these
in my power poses
in full force. Yeah.
But there was that really famous TED talk a few years ago that speaks to the supposed benefit of power posing and body language for improving your confidence.
Yes.
Having said that,
we came across an article that made us giggle a little bit, actually, when we were kind of looking into the research behind this, and it has been questioned. So they've had difficulty replicating the study,
the power posing study.
Yeah, that you know, doing the power pose kind of builds confidence, and they in a, you know, a common research practice that we use to make sure our research is sound is replicating studies.
Yeah.
So you do a study, you get a certain outcome, and then part of checking that that is a true outcome is that you repeat the study and you would expect to get the same results.
Yes.
Another team failed to replicate this study. So they attempted to replicate the same findings. They struggled to do that. And then we came across this article that made us have a little laugh, where one of the co-authors on the original paper said, "I do not believe the effects are real of the power pose."
So the debate is out whether power posing does improve your confidence or not. But this researcher said more rigorous studies are needed and with a larger sample size.
Yes. I think though with things like this, if you do it and you have benefit from it,
amazing.
All the power to you.
Yeah.
All the power pose to you.
Keep power posing.
Keep power posing. And whether things have a placebo effect or are replicated in the literature, I mean, you know, for this particular thing with the power pose, that's okay. I think it's something to try.
Yes.
There's not much loss from having a go at power posing and seeing if it boosts your mood or boosts your confidence in the moment.
Another thing is giving yourself a little pep talk. Like, what would your pep talk be for me to give me a bit of confidence? I'm mid-podcast episode. I'm a little bit nervous.
I would say, Kira, you are doing so well and you have all of the skills and the capabilities and the intellect and everything in you. You have all of the things
Wow.
to do the most amazing job at this podcast. And I have all of the faith in you that you'll try and succeed in getting through it with no cuts.
Thank you so much. That may just be the kindest thing anyone has ever said. What a pep talk.
I can give you one before every episode if you
Yes,
like.
please.
Maybe that will be our confidence boosting homework to ourselves, in that I will give you a pep talk before each podcast episode. You may have to give me one in return.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds fab.
Amazing. Those are the more immediate, in the moment things that we can do to boost our confidence. But what about in the long term? And I think for me and, for the listeners alike, building confidence on a more kind of broader scale and on the more long term, I think is a really important goal, particularly when we talked about all of those really, really important reasons why we need confidence and why confidence is so important. And that involves a more long-term change. So one element of that is working with our internal thoughts and our internal responses, or the way that we view failure or mistakes or setbacks. And this is considering kind of how you think about your abilities and your talents. Are they fixed? So do you view your abilities and your talents as something that's fixed? So they are just the way they are. I am not good at this. I am good at that thing. I can't possibly do that. So do you have a fixed mindset about what you can and can't do? Or do you have the mindset that you can grow in those elements and that those skills can be developed and changed over time? Oh, that's something I find tricky, but I can get better at it with practice. That's something that I really enjoy doing, and I'm going to keep growing that skill. Like, do you have a mindset that you can build on those things? A fixed mindset, like I just kind of mentioned, is that those talents are locked in place. And so when we have that fixed mindset, we might give up on those things. So I might think, what's something I think that I'm not? I don't particularly think I'm very good at maths sometimes.
Yeah.
Do I give up on tasks that involve that skill because I have a fixed mindset about how I am on that thing? Or do I view that lens of it's something tricky, but I can grow and develop that skill, or that is an opportunity to grow? If something is trickier or harder, or is something that, might not be my most natural talent, is that then an opportunity and a challenge I can take on to grow that skill?
Yeah.
For example, this podcast.
Yes. I definitely have a growth mindset with this podcast because I have the hope that my abilities will improve.
Yes.
And keep listening, and they might.
We need you all to hang around so that we
Listen
can
and see.
experience.
Let me know in a month's time.
So that we can experience the change and growth and we can build on the skills. No, absolutely. It is. And I think those internal thoughts are also an area where I think we have a lot to gain from working on those internal thought patterns to boost our confidence. And I think I've implemented a lot of strategies in doing that for this podcast. So things like, and I guess it brings us back to that perfectionism kind of lens as well. Going with the confidence to just release something and let it be out in the world and do it, and click the share button, click the post button, get the episodes up. You have to be able to kind of get past some of those internal thoughts. So will there be an error? Do I need to listen to it another 10 times to make sure it's perfect? what will people think about the way that I've said that sentence? You know, will all of these thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to be able to push past or reframe or challenge those internal thoughts that we have in order to get the confidence to do the thing.
Yes.
And we've had a lot of that in this podcast. So much of it, especially like the confronting element of having it on video and having it on audio and having all this content. Anyway, I think this has been a very big...
It's a therapy session for Lauren and I.
Yeah. It's some definitely like exposure training that we're going through to boost our confidence.
Another way to cultivate confidence is to practice failure. Everyone who has ever succeeded has at one point failed as well. And I think it can be really powerful to remember that. And research shows that those who fail regularly and keep trying anyway, over time, they're better equipped to respond to challenges and setbacks in a constructive way.
This also speaks to the element of building up our skills with practice and repetition. So the more we have a go at something, the more times we practice, the more the more experience we have with the skill, the more confidence we build in being able to do that thing. So if you think about, you know, giving a presentation at work or school or wherever, if you have practiced that, you know, a number of times before you get to the big moment, you're more confident to give that presentation. It's the same way as if you and I come into one of these episodes and we haven't had a lot of time to kind of talk through the rundown, we might be less confident to get through the episode versus another time where we've had lots of time to talk about it before we come on here. But the same thing goes, I guess, for also experiencing the failure or the mistakes or the setbacks. The more you do that, the more times you attempt something and it doesn't go to plan, but you try again, the more comfortable and confident you get with that experience happening. So, you know, I'm thinking about like random sports I've tried, and the more times I've had a go at something and it's failed or I've made a mistake in that, the more confident I am to have a go again, because I experience the failure or the setback or the mistake and you get comfortable in like, that wasn't so bad. Like I survived that thing. I got through it. I'm okay. And now I've learnt from that, or I've experienced that, and I can have another go.
And often through failure, we learn different strategies and different ways to do things, which is really helpful in the long term. And we also kind of like get used to asking for help and reaching out for others, which also builds our skills and capacity and also develops just our perseverance in order to undertake tasks.
There are all these things that we have spoken about to cultivate confidence. Some of them are those more immediate, short-term confidence boosters. So if you're in a moment where you're not feeling super confident, you can do those things like listening to music, the pep talk, have a go at the power pose. And then there are these longer-term confidence cultivators, being like working on our relationship with our own self-talk and our relationship with kind of failure and having a go. So that more repetition and experience to build our confidence. But something we can do now to think about our current relationship that we have with confidence is to ask ourselves some of these questions.
These questions are written by Russ Harris, who we spoke about on a previous episode. Russ does a lot of work in acceptance and commitment therapy. Are you laughing because I'm going first name basis with Russ? No.
These ones just sent to me by Russ. I was like, have you met Russ before?
Sorry, Russ Harris has written the book The Confidence Gap, drawing on acceptance and commitment therapy. And there's some really great questions in there speaking about how we want our confidence to increase in order to achieve something. So to make a life or to make changes in our life to improve our overall well-being.
Yeah.
So in the book, he talks about clarifying our values through asking questions such as, in a world where you had unlimited confidence, how would you behave differently? How would you play, work, and perform differently? how would you treat others and yourself differently?
How would your character change? What sort of things would you start doing? What would you stop doing? And what goals would you set and work towards? These are really lovely questions, even in like building that motivation to work on your confidence as well, and to focus on building confidence, like having that lens of how would all of these things be different, and how would my life be different if I had unlimited confidence, and then reflecting on those as well as a way to kind of motivate that change.
Exactly. So really sitting down and thinking through what are the changes in your life that you'd like to see. And from these questions, Russ Harris also introduces something called the Life Change List. And this is basically a roadmap developing from those questions. So it starts with, as I develop genuine confidence, here are some ways I'll act differently. Here are some important things I will stand for. Here are some activities I will start doing more of. Or here are some goals I'll work towards. So really identifying and like road mapping or planning out how your life will be different and how it will work towards your values and goals in relation to developing that genuine confidence and how things will be different for you.
It's really helpful seeing that from this place of, as I develop genuine confidence. So going back to those early confidence myths we spoke about, where it's, I have confidence or I don't have it, or when I'm confident, then I will do this thing, or I can't do that because I'm not confident. Whereas this is, speaking to, as I develop genuine confidence. So it's something that I am working on, and these are the things that I'm doing that build me towards that person or help me work towards those things. So I'm going to be doing, or these are the things that I'll do more of in order to get there, to then be in the place where it's, if you had all this confidence, how would your life be?
Exactly. I really like how these questions are a bit more concrete and less wishy-washy than just, I want to be more confident. It's actually specifying and creating a picture of your life about, okay, how do you actually want to live it? What would more confidence look like for you? And like, how can we get there?
Yeah. And we're going to be developing our genuine confidence for our confrontation skills. We've worked out this episode. And shout out to Russ Harris.
Yes. Thanks,
Just
Russ.
link up if I want to chat to Russ Harris.
So that brings us to the end of today's episode, which was all about confidence.
We spoke lots about the things that shape our confidence, but then also how we can do things to build and improve on our confidence, which is very important. And we are both going to go away and work on our confrontation skills and our confidence in those situations, which we learned today is our area for improvement.
People who have confrontation with me in the future will not be happy because I'll be super confident in those conversations. Yes, so thank you for listening. As always, the research from today's episode is available in the show notes.
And you can also find more of us on our socials at This Might Help Podcast on Instagram and TikTok, and the full video version on YouTube.
As always, helplines are available in the show notes as well. And if you are needing further support, please reach out to a healthcare professional.
We will catch you next week in another episode.
See you then.
Bye.